Hi, this is George. Today I'm going to show you how to paint your very own flowering cactus rock painting. This background was painted previously. I'll put a link up there in the cards so you can see how I did it. The first step is to draw out your cactus. You can do an online search for various cactuses, determining which one you want to use. For this stone, I'm going to paint the Sierra cactus. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. It's the cactus that looks like a tree with its branches reaching up to the sky. Once you have your sketch done, I like to trace around the area with a Sharpie. Don't worry, it won't show through on the finished painting. Unfortunately, I lost that clip, showing you the outline of the cactus. Using titanium white, paint in your sketch of the cactus. Apply 2 coats so that the background doesn't show through at all. This funny looking thing that I'm cutting into is called a sea sponge. Using a mixture of yellow and blue and maybe a little bit of white and some burnt umber, loosely paint in almost haphazardly a layer of greens, varying it up slightly. Then, using the same color, maybe with a little bit more burnt umber, go at the base of the cactus. What you're trying to do here is create some underbrush. As you can see, we're using the sea sponge at this base around the bottom of the stone. Depending on the size of the sea sponge, it might be a little more difficult than other times. Just be patient and go with it and just have fun with it. Vary up the color a little bit by adding a little bit more yellow or blue or burnt umber. What we're doing here is adding a base coat, a darker color for the underbrush. What will happen is we'll go over it with various shades of lighter greens, but it'll give it a sense of depth. Like now, we're going over it with a little bit more greens and blues and covering up a lot of the brown. Using the sea sponge again, go around and blot out the white line surrounding the cactus. Don't worry if you cover up the white of the flowers. We're going to go back into that in a minute. What we're doing now is applying a shadow on the part of the cactus that doesn't receive that much light. We're using a combination of burnt umber and green. And likewise, we're applying a brighter shade of green so that the cactus looks more rounded, giving it more dimension. A curious observation about acrylics. They dry 2 shades darker. So as you paint the cactus, if you want to go darker realize that it's going to dry darker. So you may want to go a little less dark and then a little more light. Remember, you can always add more layers to adjust it. After all, acrylics are based on layering. The more layers you have, the more developed the painting is. Remember when I said not to worry about painting over the flowers when you were laying in the green? Well, the reason being is we're now going to paint the flowers back in using a combination of white and a little bit of red. Although the paint looks white, it really isn't. It's like an off shade of white. What you want to do is paint this a little bit different color so that when you apply the white will pop up a lot more. Using a little bit of red, what you want to do is paint in like little specks so that you have the suggestion of small flowers in the brush. Remember to do it on both sides so that it evens out. And then loosely paint in using various shades of green, suggestions of branches and blades of grass in the underbrush, making sure you do it on both sides. Today's question: have you ever used natural sea sponges in your painting processes? If you haven't used them, would you consider using them in the future? Include your answers in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. Now with the flowers, we're going to give them a little bit more depth. First off, give the base of the flower a bit of a gray, and then add a bit of red. And then give a little bit of a white highlight using the titanium white. Fine-tune the flowers a little bit by adding a bit more red and then a little bit more white to give it a little pop. Okay, so if you haven't noticed already, I love using black to outline and give more detail to one of my rock paintings. It adds a level of intricacy without being too over the top. And besides, it's just a lot of fun. Just go with the flow. Your creativity, your inner voice will give you a heads up of where you want to go and how far you want to take it. In some cases, less is more. Just have fun doing it. I also like to carry the ink detailing on the back. My way of thinking is that a stone encompasses both sides, the front and the back should be included in whatever you do. Sometimes I'll include just black detailing, sometimes I'll include a metallic like gold or silver. It depends upon the feeling for the stone. It's important to sign your piece of artwork, whether you're using your initials or a symbol or a glyph. It makes the rock more complete. Another aspect of my stones is my dotting. I love to dot my stones. If I don't dot a stone, it doesn't feel complete. You don't have to go crazy with it. Remember, less can be more. On the other hand, if you want to add a ton of dots, there's no one stopping you but you. As with anything in painting, you just have fun. What's also fun is adding streaks of color using the end of a dotting tool. The first time I used this technique was totally by accident. And here's a lesson for you. Sometimes what you do that's not planned becomes a happy accident, and that way you can incorporate newer things into how you paint. And of course, we have to do dotting for the flowers.